I have also not done commentary in quite a while, so all of you in chat, please forgive me if I'm a little rusty, but I'm very excited to be here with y'all tonight. And let's see who our second character is going to be. Oh my goodness.
One of my faves right there.
Look at that Yang.
The Yang.
And we've got Golbez sitting in Baron Castle, his rightful throne, honestly.
Did you get a chance to catch what was given to them? Everyone starts with one item. What was it?
It is the pan. Now the pan is an interesting item because it opens up a speedier tactic for some of our runners. Muppets, you wanna maybe comment on what that speedy tactic is?
So in the vanilla game, the pan is actually something that Yang's wife Sheila gives you. You're sent down to the Sylvan Cave with the pan in hand, and you go over to him and whack the sleeping Yang upside the head with the pan. One of these sylphs gives you an item, and in K2, that can actually be a key item or any number of overpowered items. Then when you go back to Sheila, she will actually give you an item in return for that. In vanilla, it's the spoon.
I'm very interested to hear what this K2 is, but I did want to point out one of the hypest Baron shops I've ever seen. Silk webs and sirens for free. Everything is free in this run because the $3 flag is turned on, meaning that all items in shops are free. So we're going to see folks buying 99 of pretty much whatever they want.
Yeah. We can see people going to town right now. Penguinator is doing one of the more classic things, or is raiding Baron Town, whereas Nightdew and Invenerable are off into Agard, checking out the shops over there.
Yeah, displaying a little bit of route divergence. I like it. A couple other notable flags that are present on the League, the Highway to the Zenith Zone round of 32 League flags are the T3 and S2 flags. T3 meaning that all but the rarest and most amazing items are available in chests strewn about the world of Final Fantasy IV, and the S2 flag, what does that do, Muppets?
Well, the S2 flag, it makes it so that shops do sell items, but they sell pretty much the lowest tier items they possibly can. So you're less likely to see the more powerful things like defense swords and Masamune and Mirasame.
Oh my gosh!
Like long swords.
I would love to see Murasame and Masamune in my shops. I gotta tell you that. And we're also seeing Neon Gray encountering the CPU and finding Rosa behind it on Mount Hobbs. We have the no free lunch flag in play, which means that none of the characters that you would get for free ordinarily with that flag turned off at places like Mysidia or Damsian Castle are available. So we will likely see many of our runners head straight to Mount Hobbs to pick up the character that's there gated behind what is today the CPU.
And Rosa is a huge pickup for a party like this. You've got a hard-hitting melee fighter in Yang. You've got a powerful black mage in Palom. What better to go along with that than a ranged attacking healer like Rosa?
She really is a hashtag the dream for this particular party setup. And we're seeing Nightdew doing a little bit of a high five there as well. Meanwhile, Neon Gray is taking a reset, going to come back a little bit later. Definitely a okay move in my book. CPU is not an easy boss to face early.
CPU is a pretty tough one to face early, especially if you don't have good DPS, which level 10 Yang doesn't put out a whole heck of a lot of damage. You can see that he was only doing about 37 to the Defender right down there in Nightdew's stream.
Speaking of level 10 Yang putting out damage, this would have been a great time to talk about the pan, but we missed it. We missed it!
We missed it. There will be plenty of time for that one, Alexa. Plenty of time, I assure you.
Oh man, the hypest Antlion level 1 chest with the Shadow Sword over there. Meanwhile, Invenerable checking out more item shops in Terraria. Now heading over to Kaipo and Mist, it looks like. Penguinator heading to Silvera. No doubt to check the shops and treasures up there. And we see Neon Gray diving Antlion to perhaps receive their first key item. What do you think it's going to be, Muppets?
The first key item? I don't think there's going to be a key item on this one. I think it's going to be a piece of equipment, which leads me into discussing what K2 is all about.
Oh, right. I had some questions about that. I thought that the key item locations would just give you stuff, and you could just move through the game.
They do and they don't. In K1, which is what we've seen an awful lot of recently, you see your key items and where you would normally see key item spots. But in K2, those spots get expanded to other locations, meaning the major summons, Ashura, Leviathan, Bahamut, as well as the gift from the Sylphs in the Sylvan Cave, and even the lunar bosses on the moon. So there's actually impetus to go to the moon on a K2 seed.
Oh, that's awesome. I love the moon boss fights. Those are always really tough, and you really get to see some interesting strategies, particularly when people go their early level. I did want to make a comment about Neon Gray's play to leave the CPU and Rosa up on Mount Hogs and taking that reset there. I think this is a great play. I feel like the CPU fight will take a matter of seconds as opposed to several minutes like we're seeing on some of our other runners. With a little bit more DPS. I think it's not something that everyone would do, and I think it's something smart. I just wanted to shout that out.
Absolutely, and Neon Gray is currently in the Guard ×2 fight. Now, the Antlion spot is usually the first spot that most runners go to when they're looking for boss fights, because there's only 1,000 hit points to deal with. The Guards is a little bit tough because they counter everything. They counter your fight or physical damage with the size spell. As you can see, both Yang and Palom are now tiny. And they counter magic attacks with the Piggy spell, which we've seen a couple of attempts, but nothing that's actually landed.
Definitely the low magic power of the Antlion spot is to blame for the landing, or lack thereof, of the Piggy spell. I just feel like Fire 1 is really doing some work here. Palom is really crushing it down there on Neon Gray's screen. Moving back around to some of our other friends, Night Dew and Penguinator nearly in sync, fighting the CPU together, try to get that Rosa, and here we see Invenerable heading into the guard fight as well.
Now, Venerable's got just a little bit more to work with in this fight. Found dancing daggers from the shopping spree that Inven went along. You can see that Invenerable went with the outlet mall shopping tactic here. Went around to all of the shops and gathered as much as they possibly could. And that's going to prove to be really, really big, as Dancing Dagger is going to do about 300 damage, 400 damage to that shop right there, which is going to take care of this fight a lot quicker time than Neon Gray did.
That's amazing. I'm loving those early vanilla FF4 speedrun strats with the dancing daggers. And we do see Invenerable making quick work of the guards, and we see Night Dew claiming his Rosa. Oh. And Invenerable rewarded with the pass from the Antlion Cave. Oh my gosh. And Neon Gray also.
That's a pretty big item to get right out of the gun. That means that when you get the crystal, it's go time no matter where you are.
The crystal? Go time? What are you talking about, Muppets?
Well, if you're going to fight Zeromus, you have to transform him into his final form.
Oh my.
You can only do that with the crystal, which is one of the key items that we're looking for. In fact, is the key item that we're looking for.
Which
when
crystal?
You find the crystal, you have the ability to actually fight and defeat Zeromus. When you when you find the crystal, when I say go mode, what I'm talking about is that you get the levels required to actually beat Zeromus. You prepare your final party, and then you head on down to wherever Zeromus, whatever path you may find to get to Zeromus in order to use that crystal. It is end game territory.
Wow. Thank you for explaining that. I also want to point out Penguinator's super clutch defeat of the CPU with Palom and Yang down, and Rosa using her magical iron arrows to take down CPU was just beautiful to see. That was a treat. Thank you, Penguinator.
Yeah, Penguinator's taken a big risk by committing to that fight, but it's probably going to pay off in a big way. Rosa's ability to use bows can actually really help your damage output. You can find such things as archer bows, samurai bows, or even an Artemis bow if you get lucky enough. And arrows can really start cranking out the damage at some of the medium to higher levels.
Absolutely. I love a good Archer Rosa. I have a kind of a reputation of preferring Rydia over most other characters. However, objectively, Rosa is one of the best characters in this game. The combination of white magic and the ability to equip arrows and the aim command make her a wonderfully rounded character that can just be super versatile and applicable in many different situations.
Absolutely, and speaking of bows, Penguinator just searched the Fabul weapons shop and found elven bows in the Fabul weapons shop. In addition to being a very, very strong bow, the elven bow has a sneaky +5 to willpower, which will actually help her healing spells, as well as increase the damage output from any arrows that she shoots.
I actually just found out about the +5 will bonus from Invenerable earlier today.
Really?
Yeah, that just
all
happened.
These little things that can always add up to minutes, even at the end of a run.
I love how I've played this game like 50 times vanilla easily because it's my favorite game of all time, and I've played like many runs of Free Enterprise, and I'm still learning new things about this game. It is wonderful. It is beautiful. And one of the most beautiful things about it is that there's such a lovely community surrounding this game. Speaking of which, there is a Discord for Free Enterprise. This is your first time encountering it or your 10th. Join us in the Free Enterprise Discord. I'm sure someone will link that in the chat in just a few moments. We see something interesting going on in Penguinator's screen. What's going on there, Muppet?
We got King Queen Eblon, which you normally find just before the Rubicon spot. But,
go back to your castle.
Go back to your castle. You don't belong here. Wrong castle. But the King Queen Eblon fight is a little bit interesting here in No Free Lunch 1. Some of the scripted fights, like this one, actually still follow their scripts. After about 3 rounds, they become conscious, just like in the vanilla game, and then just fade away, like we're seeing right now, actually. They change color. They became
conscious, Jinx.
Yeah, because they were experimenting.
You owe me a Muppet.
Well, now they just fade away, and that is a free fight right there. You don't have to do anything. You can just sit there and absorb very weak Fire 1, Fire 2s, and just gain 5,000 experience from that fight.
That said, if you have the damage output, it could be faster to just crush them like the bugs that they are.
Absolutely. And let's see what the King of Fabul gives Penguinator.
Oh my, here we go. The Twin Harp.
The Twin Harp.
What a trolley item.
Now, why is that a trolley item, Alexa? Tell me.
Well, traditionally, the Twin Harp is kind of a one-off location. It doesn't, lead anywhere, and it takes a bunch of time. There's, a lengthy cutscene that of, Edward playing the harp that is spiced up, which we'll get to in a minute of why it's spiced up. But it can be kind of a troll location because not every runner is willing to go out of their way to go there because it doesn't necessarily open up any more things.
Well, it can be a part of a chain, but yeah, it has a low percentage chance of being the middle part of a chain. Usually it's going to be a terminal item such as the adamant, the spoon, the pink tail, something like that. Nothing that gains you progress.
That said, the Twin Harp can be kind of spicy too, because one of the most wonderful elements of this game is that the music that Edward plays during the scene where he plays his harp and transmits his harp sounds through the Twin Harp disabling the Dark Elf's magnetic field and saving the party from his hospital bed is randomized in this game as a special treat. There is a secret list of songs that this scene pulls from, and you get random music every time that Edward plays his harp and disables the magnetic field.
It is one of the biggest features and most hyped features in this game, actually. A lot of people talk
hype.
about music.
It's one of my favorite things, honestly, and it's like the only redeeming quality of having to go there and getting something silly like the Adamant.
Oh yes. Actually, just yesterday I got Matria's song from FF1, or Matoya's song, I think, the Witch.
Oh wow, yeah, Matoya, I believe her name is.
Matoya, yeah, that's what it is.
Push select B, but backwards, says the
I had
room.
Final Fantasy Legend 3 on the brain, my apologies.
Yes, Matria, yes, wonderful.
So,
oh man.
Invenerable is doing something kind of interesting here. Invenerable has used a siren, which gets you immediately entered into the rare encounter on whatever tile set that you're standing, and has decided to grind a little bit on the Lilith ×2 encounter right here. There's another siren going down. I think this is a very interesting play, using hourglasses, which cast stop on all of the enemies, and then using, I believe, big bombs? Oh, no, just straight up fire 2 to take them out altogether.
Palom doing work in this fight.
5,000 experience per shot.
Yeah, and those Liliths are weak to fire, so that fire 2 spell is just crushing them. I do believe that Invenerable is trying to get Quake for Palom and some more accuracy for our good friend Yang. This is definitely an interesting play. I would be surprised if some of our other runners decided to do it, but the early sirens could spur someone to do something very interesting indeed. I'm excited. I've never seen anything like this before. It's happening here first, folks. Are you hype, Muppets? I'm hype. I'm getting so hype over here.
We can see Invenerable's investing about 3 to 4 minutes on this grind is what it looks like. Gonna go for one more, it looks like. Maybe another one, too.
Whether it will pay off.
Yeah, well, one of the things that Invenerable is probably looking for, as Alexa just said, is the Quake spell, which goes through walls and deals an obscene amount of damage at low levels. The lowest I've ever seen Quake do is about 2,200 to everyone. And the thing about Quake is that it doesn't split damage, so if there are multiple targets, Quake hits them all for an equal amount of power, as though there were only one target on the field.
Meanwhile, up on the top of our screen, we're seeing Nightdew and Penguinator heading into Baron Inn and fighting the bosses there, making short work of Odin, and seeing one of the best characters in the game, Tella, transform into a giant blue turtle. Oh gosh, look at him. He's horrifying.
Now, this is actually a pretty dangerous fight, because when Kainazu gathers the water, as you can see up in Penguinator's stream, there is a wave attack that is often used. The wave attack does an amount of damage to you that's calculated based off of Kainazu's current hit point total, which at higher hit point totals can absolutely wreck your party, especially at lower levels. But using a lightning spell will actually dissuade him from doing as such.
Definitely a tricky fight, particularly in this position, considering the magic power at this spot, or excuse me, not the magic power, but the HP at this spot is around 4,000, which gives Kainazu quite the punch, as you're seeing there. Meanwhile, we see Invenerable facing off against the Dark Elf in the vanilla Mylon spot.
He's using Virus.
Oh my.
There's
he changed. Literally every time I see that, regardless of whether I'm streaming or not, I shout, "He changed."
How can you not? It's in all capitals. That's how it's supposed to be said.
It's the rules. We don't make the rules. It's all Board Face and Rivers. They lay down the law. And we do see Night Dew taking a reset to Kainazo. Again, this is a difficult fight for anyone. Even the most seasoned of runners would be seeing difficulty here. And again, definitely trying again to get that sweet Tella.
It's the best back attack ever in Invenerable's stream right there. We've got back attack Karate Yang, who has no idea the correct way of how to kick.
He also is wielding the Darkness Sword, which is one of the best things to see. Is Yang using a sword, and he's shivering, he's quaking, he's shaking it up.
Roll. He's done.
And we are seeing Penguinator finishing up his Kainazo fight. Kainazo is kind of an interesting boss as well, because when he has the water up, he is weak to lightning, but when he does not have the water up, he's weak to ice. Getting rewarded with the Drain Spear for his troubles. We could see that come into play a little bit later. Muppets, why is the Drain Spear neat?
Well, the Drain Spear is both neat and very much not neat. The Drain Spear is neat because... Well, the Drain Spear is neat because when only Kain can use it, when Kain has it equipped, the damage that Kain deals is damage that is then absorbed as a hit point gain or a heal to Kain. But why the Drain Spear isn't so cool is because the Drain Spear will actually reduce your stats by about 10 each.
Ah, that sounds awful. And also, Invenerable picking up the Magma Key and getting greeted by Valvalis.
That grind paid off in a big way just then.
Absolutely. Casting a quick burst, cracking open the first can of burst that we're seeing on stream today. Today's stream on Randomania 2 is brought to you by Burst. Crack open a can of burst today. And making short work of Valvalis. Now, Muppets, why is Valvalis a tricky boss to run into? She seemed pretty easy there.
Yeah, Valvalis is a tough boss in general. In that spot, not so bad, but that tornado form that we saw her spin herself into, if she gets into that tornado form, it jacks her magic defense way through the roof, as well as her physical evade. So most attacks will actually miss. When you're at a higher level and you have higher damage output, you can actually land a couple of shots for a decent amount of damage on her. But at the lower levels, it's very, very hard to get any sort of DPS against her when she's in that tornado form. All spells will pretty much miss 99% of the time.
Wow.
It's a really tough spot. And that grind that Invenerable did to get Yang up to probably, level 25, level 26, that paid off in a big way there.
Absolutely. Wow, that was an amazing play, and how it worked out is just wonderful, particularly in the key item reward of the Magma Key, which we're seeing Invenerable using near the town of Egart to open up the way to the underground, which will unlock not only many more key item locations, including redeeming that pan that we were talking about earlier, but also unlocking some fancier equipment due to the S2 flag tending towards better items in shops in the underground.
Now here down in the lower right-hand corner, we're seeing Neon Gray finishing up the karate fight on Mount Ordeals. Did not grind as much as Invenerable, so we'll see how the Valvalis fight actually goes for them.
Definitely going to be an interesting comparison. I wonder if Neon Gray's... Sorry?
It looks like everyone's doing Mount Ordeals now.
And Invenerable did not go to Baron, if I'm mistaken.
No.
Yes, I don't believe that Invenerable did Baron.
Invenerable didn't do the Baron infight.
Interesting, very interesting. And I mean, I don't blame him for skipping it currently, considering that the underground access is opening up a world of key items for him, possibilities for him.
Now, Invenerable's going back to the old outlet shopping strat right there. You see him picking up the shops in the item shop as well as the weapons shop and the armor shop there. Probably going to go down to the dwarf town. What is this dwarf town called? I always forget.
Tomra.
Tomra.
Hi-ho.
There it is. There it is. Yeah. Tomra.
Hi-ho, my
I always
friend.
call it dwarf town.
Dwarf Town.
Well,
Town. Yeah, Dwarfton. Dwarfton, USA.
Dwarf
And
Town.
we are seeing Neon Gray having a bit slower Valvalis fight, using lower damage outputs on Yang and Rosa's aim command to take her down. Fortunately, that spot only has about 1,000 HP, so even with slower strats and the aim command, our runner should be able to make short work of Valvalis.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see that fight in such a weak spot like that. Really eases a runner's mind, and they don't have to face her in, say, Rubison's spot, or one of the other tougher spots with high hit points.
Hey, Muppet.
Yeah.
I really like the way that you pronounce Valvalis. I'm going to start pronouncing it the way you do.
I don't know why I say Valvalis. I just do.
I like it. I like it. I also like Rubicint. That's
Rubicint is a great way to see. Like, I did not come up with that. I just heard somebody say it. I was like, that sounds cool. That's what I'm saying now.
Now, in the land of summoned monsters, apologies for interrupting, my friend. We're seeing Invenerable pick up from the vanilla rat tail key item location the defense sword, which is a great offensive weapon for Kane or Cecil. And in the item shop, picking up Cure 3s and Eager 2s, valuable items in one's quest to finish this game. Doing a quick check of the bosses in the Vanilla Leviathan and Azura spots. I saw Bagan there, and I believe the Dark Imps, but I could be mistaken about that.
I think it was Bagan and Dark Imps. I think you're absolutely right on that one. Decided not to go for it, though. I saw him thinking about it. I saw him open up the menu and see, do I want to heal with Rosa and go for it? Ultimately decided against it.
Not a terrible decision, in my opinion. The Leviathan spot in particular can be very tricky, and Bagan is not a pushover, even with the use of Quake.
Absolutely. See that Invenerable is actually going to go up to Sylvan Cave and use that pan, that hefty iron piece of cookware, for its intended purpose. Yang is going to hit Yang with a piece of kitchenetware.
This is not even the first Yang on Yang violence we're seeing this run, folks. It's getting spicy in here. It's getting spicy, and it's only going to get spicier.
Yang's got a bit of an identity crisis and maybe a self-esteem issue or two.
Yeah, there's definitely some self-deprecation, self-deprecation going on here. You like that?
Just roll with it. I love it. Keep going.
Ooh, and we're seeing the rat tail from the Sylph K2 spot. That is an item that can be redeemed at the Tail Collector's cave near Silvera if you have the hook. So we could see that coming into play as well later on this run.
Now, one of the things that newer runners will often miss about the pan is that Sheila, Yang's wife, who Invenerable is going to talk to right now, will actually give you two key items. The first key item that she gives you is not actually for the pan, it's just for seeing Yang. You go down, you say hi to Yang, he's still asleep, and she does this. What? He's in the underground? And then she makes an excuse about onions making her cry. And here, when he gives the pan, that's the second key item right there. And a lot of newer runners will actually miss that and think that they've turned in the pan when actually they haven't. I know I did when I first ran this.
Very interesting indeed. We saw the package, which nets another party member, potentially, by turning in at the Village of Mist, and the Baron key. We might see Invenerable hit the Baron next, considering that there's a party member there and the Mist Village party member as well.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of options open to up, and it's looking like Baron is the answer right here for him.
Not a play I necessarily disagree with, particularly considering the chain that he's on.
You know what's interesting about this is that Inven has not done the Baron in fight, so that actually is a perfect setup routing-wise for Invenerable right there.
It really worked out well for him. And we're seeing Night Dew finishing up Mount Ordeals, and Penguinator about to head underground, and Neon Gray just checking in with our other runners, checking the shops and the land to summon monsters.
Making some tough choices about what to shop for and what not to shop for over there. Even though everything is free, there's only one thing that isn't free in this game, and that's inventory space. You have to really manage your inventory well, otherwise you can end up with that one message, that message saying, hey, your bag is full, sort your stuff out first.
And we're seeing Invenerable making very short work of our friend Kainazo with the extra grinding that they've done, making up for some of that grinding time.
Absolutely. Yeah, that grind time was about 5 minutes of investment there. Probably saved Inven, at the bare minimum, that 5 minutes back. Made a lot of those fights really, really easy. Gets the Drain Spear and Old Man Tella for troubles.
We're seeing Neon Gray also decide to opt out of the Leviathan and Azura spot fights in the Land of Summon Monsters. Again, not a bad decision, particularly at Neon Gray's relatively lower levels. Wonder where they will go next. And Penguinator, bopping Yang on the head, getting that rat tail, gonna get a package and a Baron Key for his trouble.
So this is interesting, and Venerable, after doing the Baron infight, has actually opted not to continue the Baron path, and has gone instead back down to the underground to do the Dwarf Castle.
This is an interesting play. I bet that getting Tella gives him warp, which allows him to do both of the key item spots that the dwarf item will reveal. Why are there two key items here, Muppets? What does warp have to do with anything?
Well, this particular seed has the glitchless flag turned off. In the vanilla game, there is a bit of a bug. Oh, we have a Derek Mist sighting.
Oh my.
Yep. Gonna
Derek
take a moment to appreciate the majesty of Derek Mist right here. Look at the Derek Mist dance. He's jumping around. Look at that.
He's hopping.
He's hopping.
I've always really appreciated the Mount Hobbs ice being used to denote mist. And
the glitchless flag prevents a lot of the major glitches in the vanilla game from happening. One of those glitches is when you are in this crystal room that we're seeing right here. The room is actually the same crystal room that you find at the end of the sealed cave. And if you use the warp spell, the game reads that you were just back here. Warp takes you back to the last room that you were in, which in this case is that crystal room. It'll warp you to the room that you would normally get to in the sealed cave, and you get a free key item out of that location without ever having to traverse the very, very nasty trapdoor cave and fighting that ugly boss at the end.
Wow, this is a great play then. I'm honestly very surprised that Invenerable decided not to go through Baron, although it is a significant time investment. There's 2 bosses and a little bit of a cutscene as well. So this could be a game changer.
Absolutely, and we made a lot of hype about Derek Mist, D-Mist right there. One of the reasons why is because in the no free lunch flag, because you don't have Bedward waiting for you in Toria Castle to give you a key item, where that key item normally would be is instead with Rydia's deceased mother in the town of Summoners. When you defeat D-Mist, wherever D-Mist may be, you can go back there and talk to her, get a key item or whatever item from that location.
The D stands for Derek.
The D stands for Derek, all day, every day.
All day. And we're seeing Neon Gray doing a quick grind fight over on the 3-step peninsula with making use of a coffin that they picked up. Now, the 3-step peninsula, that little splotch of land over there, is interesting because the rarest encounter on that tile set is an egg, which upon hatching, contains a yellow dragon, an enemy that gives 34,000 experience points, which is often used as a point to grind for the Big Z fight once you have the Go mode items of the crystal in the past. So those extra levels are perhaps going to help Neon Gray and now Night Dew with some of the tougher K2 fights that they'll be encountering shortly.
Looks like Penguinator is actually right there with him, too. Entering into Penguinator's omelet grind with the coffins. One-shot kill, 34k experience.
Delicious. I love a good omelet.
Oh, how can you not? Eggs are just delicious.
Yeah, they're really just amazing.
You see down in the lower left-hand corner, Invenerable's having a bit of a tough time with the D-Mist fight. Not able to crank out just as much damage. Every 3 attacks, D-Mist turns into mist, and then you cannot attack him unless you want to get countered with Cold Mist and a dialogue
Freeze you
box.
with breath. Fighting now in Mistwill. Derek is not necessarily the friendliest boss to find in a lot of spots, including this one, particularly because of the high HP coupled with a physical attack. Considering that Derek's only attack is physically attacking.
Taking him down, though.
Crushing him, just like we crushed the Summoners of Mist, those wretched creatures.
Hashtag too soon?
Hashtag not soon enough, if you ask me. They've been scourging the Beyond the Mist for too long, I say. Oh my, what is that little star there? That's not a boss, I don't recognize that.
That's a lunar boss. Oh, but we have Edge. Edge is coming to save the day, and it's, oh boy, it's Wyvern.
Oh my gosh, it's Wyvern, and we are going to see one of the newest flags added, the W2 flag. That is delightful. I'm loving that. I'm loving that immediate Starveil usage and the virus spell that came out instead of the Mega Flare. Now
one of the dirtiest secrets of the Golbez spot is the Golbez spot has almost no magic power. So that virus did double-digit damage to everybody, and GG. Truly
the largest of threats. Wow. Wrecking the Wyvern. Now, the W2 flag is a relatively new flag added by our lovely developer, Boardface, that changes the opening Mega Nuke that Wyvern has to a random other ability. In this case, it turned into Virus, which...
I've definitely seen a couple of others. Mazer was one of them.
Yep, I've seen Beam. I've seen Beam on the whole party as well.
Night Dew in the upper left-hand corner went to go see who was there at the package. I believe it was Edward. Decided to take a reset and move on.
I don't agree with that play at all. I think that Edward is one of the best characters in the world. In the world.
Somebody in chat just said they think that somebody got Big Bane from Wyvern once. That's terrifying.
That does not surprise me. Also, I would love to see that at some point in my life. I hope it's on one of my most important runs.
Oh, Christopher Walken! Oh my goodness.
Christopher Walken got it. And we saw, I believe, the Legend Sword come out of the... the Dwarf Castle, along with the Pink Tail from the Warp Glitch.
Alright, so we're gonna see Inven go up to the Land of Summoners, the Town of Summoners, to check out what Rydia's deceased mother has, now that he's defeated Derek Mist. And the reward is... Oh, not quite the crystal you're looking for.
It's a crystal! Ooh, and we're seeing Neon Gray heading towards the Twin Harp, getting some sweet music, which we are unfortunately not hearing currently.
There we go. What is this?
Oh, this is from
It's from FF7.
It is, isn't it? That's delightful. And also of note, Night Dew heading for Baron, heading through the ancient waterway to get the Baron party member and key item. We're seeing some delicious route divergence here, something I always enjoy seeing on a run. And Neon Gray running into the Antlion at the Dark Elf spot. Now this is a tricky spot to see Antlion in. Muppets, do you want to explain why that's occurring?
So even though the Antlion in vanilla doesn't have a whole lot of defense or attack power, at this spot, the Dark Elf spot, stats get swapped a little bit. So the Antlion currently has all of the stats of the Dark Elf. One of those stats is high magic evasion, which means that just about every spell that you're going to cast on Antlion is going to do 1 or 0 damage.
Wow.
And the worst part about this, seeing Antlion in this spot, is that because you can only physically attack him, Antlion still retains his script and counterattacks any physical attacks with counter. Spines you for 140 damage.
Ouch. That sounds like a bad time. However, one thing to note is that commands like Kane's jump or Rose's aim command will not trigger that counter.
That's true. It's considered an other form of damage. It's physical, but it's not fight command. It's something else.
And we're seeing Invenerable do something interesting in the bottom left corner. Because the big boss fight is Golbez, a nice tactic that you could use is to kill all but 2 of your party members. So that when Golbez goes through his script and summons his Shadow Dragon to take you down to 2 party members, you're already at 2 party members, and you can kind of skip the lengthy demolish animations and also determine beforehand which of your characters survives.
So let's see what Neon Gray gets after that fight. It's the hook. That could be huge. Nobody has done this route out of our 4 re-streamers. That could be a big advantage over the other 3 runners right now.
Absolutely. Particularly with the rat tail in hand, we could see another key item pop up. Notably, we are seeing, just doing a quick numbers calculation, Neon Gray's at 8 key items currently. Most of our runners are either at or close to 10 key items, so they're going to be getting the delicious X2 experience. Muppets, what does that mean?
So the X flag does pertain to experience. If you don't see the X flag at all, X0, that means that experience is divided normally, just like it would be in vanilla. Whatever experience you get from the fight is divided amongst the characters. X1, that division doesn't happen. Whatever experience you get from a fight is what everybody gets. So say you did that
nice.
grind, you would get 34k to everyone. X2 has the added bonus of when you hit 10 key items, you actually get double the experience distributed to everyone across the board. So that egg grind going from 34,000 becomes 68,000 experience per kill.
Whoa.
And you can see how that ends up being a big strat for when people decide to go grind. We see Neon Gray actually going back to Damseon and making sure to get that hovercraft. I wonder if they're going right for the rat tail.
I would imagine that that's what they're doing. Invenerable and Night Dew almost in sync, destroying Golbez. Both of them.
Oh yeah, right alongside each other.
I'm getting a little choked up because I really like Golbez. Golbez, no!
It's gonna be okay, Alexa. It's gonna be okay.
It'll be okay.
We'll kill Zeromus yet. All right, Neon Gray is going into the Adamant Cave right there. Gonna
Let's see
turn
what's
in
coming from this rat tail.
What for? Aww.
Aw, it's a spoon.
Aww. Well, it's a key item, and that's nice. But it was not progress. That's a terminal item. which means that Neon Grey's got to go back to the drawing board, figure out what their next play is.
And we're seeing Bahamut in the Baron Vanilla Kainazo spot. Now, Bahamut here is, with Inven's levels and party, is not going to be too much of a threat. Particularly because he is a dragon.
And dead now.
Dead. And Invenerable had 99 Star Veils because everything's free.
Yep, pretty much.
But Bahamut can cast Mega Flare on your party if you're familiar at all with the vanilla game, which you may or may not be. Mega Flare is terrifying. Ooh, and we're seeing my favorite character, Rydia, joining the party and getting dismissed immediately because she's level 1 and trash. I'm sorry, Bae. It's just the truth. It's the truth. We gotta talk objectively here, baby.
We got to talk objectively, and it's absolutely true. Invenerable has invested a considerable amount of time grinding on this particular party. It's going to take probably Kane or Fu to get Invenerable to go away from the party that he's currently got right now.
And even Fusoya would not necessarily be an immediate grab at this moment because of the presence of the F2 flag. Now, the F2 flag nerfs Fusoya, who ordinarily comes in at level 50 with 1900 HP, and gosh, just so much spells, just every spell in the game. Ooh, and apologies for interrupting you, Alexa. I'm Alexa, by the way, I'm interrupting myself. We see the Darkness Crystal coming out of Baron. That could be a complete game changer here because it opens up all of those delicious, delicious Moon Boss spots. And yes, we are seeing Invenerable heading straight to the grind spot to get a few more levels and head straight to the moon, very likely, to clear out some of those spots.
Now, we're seeing Invenerable doing something very strange with the spell casting there. What was that, Alexa?
So we saw Invenerable move the Stone spell to the very top of his spell list for Tella, and he did that because the Egg Dragons have 2000 HP, and if you don't kill them right out, they will hatch out of their eggs and start casting thunder on you every 10 seconds.
I also noticed something else interesting about Tella's spell menu there is had 508 MP of 90.
Oh, right. Yes. That bit there. Invenerable executed what's known as the MP overflow glitch, which you attempt to cast a spell on the same frame as a spell that you can't cast without having enough MP. I explained that awfully, but essentially what it does is it gives Tella something like 65,000 MP, enabling him to not only cast Meteo, but have essentially what is infinite MP on a character who is not intended to have more than 90 MP, making him quite powerful indeed.
Absolutely. And it looks like Invenerable is just committing himself to the grind almost totally right here with this party, and it's not a bad party to do it with. You've got Tella in the center, and you've got some physical damage output with Yang and Edge. You've got magic damage with Palom, and you've got your big time healing with our Bae Rosa.
Rosa Bae is definitely going to be doing work this round, I'll tell you what. Oh man. And we're seeing Nightdew head to the Odin boss spot.
It's our first summon fight. Oh, and it's an ugly one, too. And we get an instant reset. We just saw Ashura in the Odin spot. That is a nasty, nasty encounter.
And Nightdew wants nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that at all. Why is Azura such a threat? I mean, I feel like in the vanilla game, I just crushed her.
Well, yeah, except for in that spot, Odin, the hit point total is just a little bit higher than that. If I'm not mistaken, Odin has 36,000, or maybe even more than that, 64,000.
64,000 hit. Oh my gosh, that's threatening.
Yeah, and the reason why that really sucks is because all Ashura does is cast Cure 4, Cure 3, and Life 1, depending on which face she's got on. Cure 4 is a instantaneous full heal to self, and Cure 3 usually goes off for about somewhere in the vein of 3 to 4,000. So no matter what damage you end up doing to her, she's probably going to heal it. And what's worse is that she counters every single piece of damage done to her with a random fight. And in that spot, that fight command can hit you upwards of 1,200 damage.
That's terrifying. Oh my gosh. I also want to point out that it's likely that Azura is gathering the Magi and trying to become the most powerful god. Oh wait, no, that's a different game. Apologies. We're seeing Neon Gray finishing up their Derek fight and about to see their W2 of the evening with a delightful virus on the party. Oh gosh, devastating 33 damage to Edge there. I doubt he'll recover. Night Dew heading into the Derek fight himself, and we're seeing Penguinator starting off his Golbez fight, and Invenerable still grinding. At this point, it still could be anybody's game. Although I have to say that with the Darkness Crystal, Invenerable is in the lead to check a few spots, unless the crystal is in a very trollish location. I think he has a solid shot of finishing first out of these restreamers.
Yeah, this is definitely a play that's a bit of a gamble. It's kind of a coin flip. You've got tower locations. You've got both of the summons in the Land of Summoned Monsters. You've got the Odin spot, but you've also got 6 spots on the moon. 6 lunar bosses that you can get at. So it's really 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. To see where the crystal might be. And if you have the crystal on the moon...
Muppet 6 and a half a dozen are the same.
Right in line to go fight Zeromus.
6 and a half a dozen are the same.
No,
I'm just kidding. I know what you're talking about. Can't even handle it.
We've got a question in chat. Dweddit says, does this include chest monsters? The answer is no. That's K3. K3 includes chest monsters. K2 is what we're on right now, which only includes bosses and major summons, as well as the normal stuff.
Great question, Dweddit. And Paul plays poorly, acknowledging that I have broken you Muppets. I don't think so. I think I have many more layers to go.
I'm a very resilient puppet.
Definitely. I mean, you are space-worthy after all.
No helmet.
Oh my. Straight
so
at
Invenerable is going to continue his grind right here. This is full commitment to Palom Yang, Tella, Edge, Rosa.
Certainly interesting, particularly without seeing the Moon character. There is a party member that's available to you in the Villanova Fusoya spot. But with the 10 key items, it is going to be a quick grind, and we're seeing Palom getting his nuke spell, which is about where I would end my grind. And we are seeing Invenerable.
Exactly what's happening with Invenerable right there.
Finishing up, and no doubt heading straight to the moon. And we're seeing Neon Gray trading in their pink tail for an adamant armor. Wow. Adamant armor going straight on Edge. The adamant armor is the best piece of armor in the game, normally available by trading in the pink tail, of course, which is a rare item drop from the pink puffs. And it gives a plus 15 to all stats in addition to having the highest defense in the game.
That's right. Don't leave home without it. And Invenerable has gone to Mystia to do the cutscene to get the big whale.
This is a great time to talk. Get in another word from our sponsor, Bursk Energy Drink, now available in a moon flavor. Ride the lunar whale with Bursk Energy Drink.
This won't be the last can we see cracked open, that's for sure.
That's for true, my friend. That's for true. And we're seeing Neon Gray picking up their crystal ring.
Aww.
Still a delightful piece of equipment.
It's very pretty. The thing about the crystal ring is that in addition to having really, really high magic defense and physical defense, the crystal ring also adds +5 to agility. So it makes that character insanely fast as well.
It is quite the item to get. I have to admit, I am never unhappy to see a crystal ring.
Absolutely.
And we're
Okay,
seeing
so Venerable is going to check out the lunar shop right here. There is
affectionately known as Butt Cave.
Should be known as Butt Cave. There's one shop that I didn't know about until I started running this particular. Oh, speaking of Bursk, I didn't know about until I started running this randomizer, and we see there that one of the naming ways has Bacchus wines for sale. We've got 99 ways to crack open a can of Bursk right here.
Delightful. And of course, our sponsors won't be selling Bacchus wines for free. You can pick them up for a cool 2,000 GP. I'm just kidding. GP is not even a real thing. I don't even know what's going on.
Let's see what character Invenerable decided to do the grind for omitting.
Oh, that's a painful character to see there. Kane, we love you.
What's Invenerable gonna do? Is Invenerable gonna go all in? Yep, Invenerable's going all in. He says, "I don't care about your Kane. I've got my party right here." Old man,
unsurprising. Also, an interesting thing that we're seeing, Penguinator in the top right is going after Azura in the Odin spot. This is an interesting play. Azura is not invincible here, particularly with the usage of spells like Blink, which give you 2 free physical attack misses, and the Quake spell. This is a difficult fight for sure, but one that Penguinator definitely can win.
This is an incredibly tough fight, especially in that spot. That spot has an awful lot of speed. You can see that it only takes about 1.5 seconds or so, and Ashura will actually come out with her next move. It's a lot.
No doubt all that speed, Magi.
Out there. And there's that Cure 4 coming out, 3144, that full heal.
Oof.
This is looking pretty tough right now.
Definitely a tough fight.
So Invenerable is going to traverse the lunar subterrane first. Going down, all the way down, and decides to hang a right at the fork in the road. That's going to go to the save point that we all knew as kids growing up playing this game.
Absolutely. One of my favorite save points in the game. And
right.
I suspect that Invenerable is heading straight for the Vanilla Lunar Dragon spot due to the presence of 2 key item potential locations there.
Lays down a save, and off he goes.
Let's see who we've got. And we see Nightdew picking up his crystal ring. Delightful. Oh, and we see the Water Hag.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing to see in this spot. Water Hag, because it's only no free lunch 1, Water Hag still retains its vanilla script, which means all you have to do is hit it 3 times for literally whatever damage you can do, and he will die instantly. But you have to hit, Palom. You have to hit. There you go.
Palom. Yeah, Palom. What are you, rhyming with a Super Mario RPG boss? Jesus. What is going on?
What? Palom?
Yeah. thanks for picking that up.
No, it's good. It's
another
good.
Another delightful thing about this boss location with the X2 10 key items, this gives you 200,000 experience. So also a decent place to grind. And we're seeing a Stardust Rod, a delightful item to find. Invenerable running into a little bit of inventory issues. Penguinator putting up a valiant fight against Azura. And we see the Adamant Bupkis from the Water Hag. Other than the much valuable Stardust Rod, what's so special about that, Muppets?
The Stardust Rod, in addition to being just a fantastic little weapon, can be used as in the item menu over and over again to cast Stardust, which does about 500 to 700 damage to everything on the screen. And while it's equipped, it increases your Wisdom by 15, is it?
15 it is. And we're seeing Penguinator take down Azura, crushing her, and getting like 6 or 7 Magi, I can't even remember.
This actually has the potential to be huge because none of the other runners have done this. So let's find out if this gamble pays off.
And we're
I was really hoping for that one to pay off.
I really was as well. And it paid off at least a little bit with an end-game weapon for Edge. And we're seeing Invenerable fighting against Dr. Luge and Balnab. Good old Barnabas, our favorite robot.
Barnabas?
That's his name. It's Barnabas.
Good stuff. Oh, Nuke takes care of him in one shot right there.
He's destroyed. That's Dr. Luge's life's work. It's his son. You killed him. We're seeing Night Dew up in the top left, doing a few grind fights, cracking open some omelets. Neon Gray taking on Bahamut, gonna pick up that Darkness Crystal soon.
Here's the second phase of the Dr. Luge fight. This is the most annoying phase because when Dr. Luge transforms, he casts poison on everyone. It doesn't do much damage, but at the end of the fight, you're all poisoned, and you have to watch the herky jerkies until you
the herky jerkies
to save. There it is, right there.
There it is. There's the poison. Ugh, what a garbage person.
A doctor turned skeleton. Oh, kills him in one shot with Nuke, though. So that Stardust Rod really going to work.
Terrifying.
Also, 53 levels doesn't hurt, too.
And we get a vanilla White Lance. Is this even randomized? Haha, it's a meme. I did it.
I don't know, Alexa. I don't know about that. I don't know.
Muppets?
Yes?
Am I going to be okay?
You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. There's like 4 more lunar bosses. There's 4 more. We're going to be fine.
All right. I'm hoping for a crystal at Bahamut myself. The vanilla Bahamut location. It's my favorite place for the vanilla on this type of K2 flag set.
It definitely is an outlier, that's for sure. But Invenerable is going to go down into the Crystal Path, which holds one final endgame boss, which is Ogo Pogo. Down in that little pedestal. That's, I believe, where you get the Murasame.
It's where you get the Masamune.
It's where you get the Masamune. The Murasame is behind Pale Dim. That's right.
Muppets in Space, I have something to confess.
Oh, yes?
I always forget about this spot in K2. I don't know why.
Really?
I just always forget about it. And it's never bitten me in the ass yet, but one day it totally will.
So
and we're seeing
we just watched Invenerable use an Hourglass 3 on the officer and soldier encounter that he just encountered, which stops them. But I know what you're thinking. Isn't this a boss fight? You can't stop a boss fight, right? Well, not so, because in the No Free Lunch 1 flag, in addition to having vanilla scripts, a lot of the monsters and encounters will have vanilla vulnerabilities as well, which means that in the Dark Elf fight, when it transforms into that little dark dragon, it also has all of the vanilla vulnerabilities. Just like this. Officer, susceptible to stone, one shot, done.
Those Baron officers, susceptible to getting stoned.
Slackers.
And we see the tower key. An interesting key item to find here for sure, my friend.
Tower key is definitely a tough... that would be a really tough path if you had to go up to Ogo Pogo to get the tower key to come back down to get the crystal from that in the underworld.
It's not a fun path for sure.
But we've got 3 more lunar bosses, 2 in the lunar subterrane and 1 in the Bahamut cave. So we're not tapped out of options just yet, and Invenerable is going all in on the lunar subterrane right now. I believe Invenerable, out of the 3, is the only person to have actually tried the moon first.
I definitely agree with you there. We're seeing Invenerable head to the Vanilla Wyvern location, a location that actually is easier than most boss spots, although not without its trials and tribulations for sure. And we're seeing the other Restream folks doing their grinds, turning in their darkness crystals, likely heading to the moon.
Octomam.
The mother of all octopuses. I know it's Mammoth, but I like thinking of her as a mom. She's leaving behind children. Orphans now.
8 of them.
8 orphaned children.
So this wyvern area, it definitely hits hard. You can see it just whacked Yang for 2k damage right there. But Invenerable's not worried. Gonna open up a can of Bursk with those Bacchus wines and go to town. And just like in all of the other fights that we've been seeing, the vanilla script happens again here. Octomam takes 3 hits and suddenly gets a reduction in speed. Just like in vanilla, when Octomam takes 3 hits, gets a reduction in speed. You'll see this. Every animation where you see fewer and fewer tentacles like that means that Octomam is slower, and now Octomam is dust in the wind.
Octomam is wrecked. Octomam is leaving some Octo orphans there. Oof. Oh my gosh. That's the power of Bursk. Another crystal, but not the one we're looking for.
This seed is definitely giving him the Kappa face right now.
Absolutely. Let's. I'm definitely seeing some Kappas floating around. Gonna put in my own little Kappa there. There you go, chat. There's a Kappa for you. A Kappa. This is another friendly reminder to purchase a can of Bursk today. Speaking of purchasing Bursks, Neon Gray picking up their 99 Bacchus wines. A lovely find indeed. Penguinator coming to the Kane decision.
Oh yeah, Supremacy just pointed out that the Crystal Sword was also the vanilla. So you usually get the Crystal Sword from Wyvern.
Second vanilla So is this Muppets?
I don't know.
You told me that I was going to be okay. You lied to me.
Well, I not entirely. We haven't seen what's in Pale Dim Spot yet.
This was supposed to be #the dream, Muppets.
It is the dream, but sometimes...
It was supposed to be the dream.
Oh.
Where's the crystal?
It's coming. You know what? I'm calling Crystal and Bahamut Cave. That's what I call it.
I have to point out that I definitely called that first.
Well, I'm just agreeing with you.
How dare you?
Dream.
#the dream. #the meme. Muppets and Alexa back at it again. And we're seeing the elements at the Pale Dim Spot. The 4 fiends of elements learning to work together. Rubicante teaching his fellow fiends of elements that together they are stronger than each individually. Learning from the party. One of the coolest moments in video game in history, honestly, in my opinion. And yeah, oof, look at that rubescent.
Rubescent.
Rubescent sounds like an adjective.
It does actually. That paper is it feels so rubescent.
I do want to point out that Neon Gray has rushed the Bahamut Cave and is fighting Mylon Z at the Bahamut spot. This is very interesting indeed, and could change things significantly. And we are seeing Invenerable get the crystal. And we
have go mode.
We have go mode. The Invenerable's also complete with his grind, exiting out of there. Gonna hop into that big whale and turn in the pass. So what are we gonna see here, Muppets?
Well, what we're gonna see is we're gonna see Invenerable go back to Earth and go to Toria and turn in the pass where you would normally turn in the pass for I think it's a cafe or some like little dance hall that's back there. But Boardface has actually changed this in the randomizer to open up one-way access to the final part of the Crystal Walk and the Zeromus fight. So Invenerable's going to exit the ship right now. We'll see him lay down a save. And oh wow, no configuration or anything, just going right for it.
Wow, this is fantastic. This is amazing. The chutzpah on this man. And Penguinator heading straight for that Pale Dim Spot, not going for the traditional statistically significant 2 key items. 2 key item location to the Loon and Dragon Spot. Gonna be rewarded for his gamble with the crystal. And
Shout out to our restreamer, by the way, for switching to Inven stream there, because we're about to see some final fight.
Speaking of final fights, we're about to see what the Z flag does, aren't we, Muppet?
That's right, that's right. One of the most treasured and beloved parts of this randomizer is the Z flag. There are literally hundreds of different sprites that have been added to this randomizer that Zeromus's, quote, final form, unquote, can be. You use the crystal and you get to see what that final form is going to be. Scala Kitty said 250 plus and counting, ladies and gentlemen. If you
Shoutouts to Scala Kitty for all of her hard work, making and collecting the sprites for the Z flag. Really, you are a pillar of this community, Scala, and we are just blessed to have you. Thank you for all you do. And shoutouts to our restreamer as well, and to our lovely tracker.
Whoa!
Oh my. I have never seen this one before. This is, things are getting a little testy here.
Who is that?
I have no idea. Hopefully chat can help us out. Things are definitely getting testy. Getting cozy.
Oh my. So we see Tella
Testament
right there.
From
just
here.
Silk web. That's going to slow Zeromus down, and it's also going to draw a nuke counter. And why that's significant is because for this first one, the Big Bang ability that Zeromus is famed is going to be what we call nerf. For some reason, when nuke goes off, Zeromus's magic power is actually reduced in conjunction with that. For the first one, it's reduced and just stays reduced until after the end of this Big Bang. But for subsequent ones, for some reason, it has to be done really, really close before that Big Bang is queued up for it to actually be affected by that magic power reduction.
An amazing explanation, Muppets. Thank you very much for that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And we're seeing Penguin doing some equipment changes. Nightdew fighting Rubicent over in the Land of Summon Monsters.
So Invenerable's just sitting right there, waiting. Invenerable is waiting for that shake. That shake is the telltale sign that Big Bang is being queued up, and you see that is using Palom to cast Nuke on Zeromus. Nuke, slow, any number of spells or items will actually draw that Nuke counter from Zeromus, except we just saw the tip. Why didn't it counter? Because Zeromus has an HP refill scripted into its AI at a certain HP level, at a certain HP range. He gets an automatic HP refill, and that is the actual counter that happens. And we can see that actually caused him to suffer just a little bit because that Big Bang was not nerfed.
Tella taking a well-deserved nap. Best character in the game, taking his final rest, being dragged along the stratosphere. When characters die at this part of the fight, I can't help but imagine them being like skidded on the cosmic final fight background. We're getting a request from chat to tell us about the battle speed. Now, agility is something that's very important in this game because the agility of your party members affects how fast some of your enemies can appear to be. The character in your middle slot will determine the agility that's used to determine the relative agility of the rest of your party members. And there are certain agilities that favor your party members getting more attacks than others that some members of our community have taken the liberty of calculating, like F. Coughlin has made a fantastic relative agility calculator. Now, for whatever reason, numbers that I don't understand entirely on my own, 14, 28, and 42 agility all seem to help your characters get more attacks in. And speed in the Zeromus fight is very, very, very important. because if Zeromus is faster, he'll get more big bangs off, and it's dangerous indeed because you saw just how much damage that big bang does. And GG to Invenerable, finishing in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 41 seconds. GG to you, Invenerable. We're gonna see if we can get them in for an interview. Meanwhile, Neon Gray and Penguinator have picked up their crystals. No doubt in their go modes respectively, and Night Dew being sent off on a goose hunt.
Oh, that's tough.
It is tough. It is tough, but it can happen to even the most experienced runners. Sometimes the breadcrumbs lead you to the breadcrumb to the piece of toast. But why are you gonna pick up toast off the ground and eat it? Just not great.
You have to be really hungry, right?
I mean, I've been hungry before, so I might necessarily.
Yeah, I've been in college too. I totally get that.
Hello there,
Invenerable. On your first place finish.
GG to you.
Thank you so much.
Now, how do you feel about your run?
I feel pretty good about it actually. I know it's not quite, the league round of 32 flags, but it's similar enough, and I feel like my routing was okay. I mean, Dwarf Castle was apparently a mistake on multiple fronts, just because it led to nothing, and I got to look like an idiot casting Medio on Mist Dragon. But
I did notice that. That's holy damage.
Yeah.
It's delightful.
I had a little Telelife swag. How's that? If glitches are enabled, you're obligated to cast Medio at least once on your run, right?
Absolutely.
It's actually in the rules.
You had executed the MP underflow glitch a couple of times there. Really good highlight stuff. So I figured, hey, might as well use it, right?
Of course.
Turned out to be a celebratory Medio.
Yeah, when I found that tower key at the Ogopogo spot, a small part of me was tempted to just exit right then and there and go back to Earth. So glad I decided to wrap up the lunar subterrane before doing that.
Yeah, and so you went to the lunar subterrane pretty much immediately after getting 10 key items. You went down and just said, "This is my party," even with Tella in it, and did your grind. Why did you just go into your grind at that point and just go all in with that party? Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, my 10th key item was the Darkness Crystal, so I'm like, okay, moon bosses. There are moon boss spots that can be harder to deal with than Zeromus. Aside from that, I had already kind of decided after getting Palom, Rosa, and Yang that I didn't even care who my other two characters were. Those three, except for a high-level Valvalus, who I think we saw fairly early. She was in the Ordeal's Crystal Chamber, right? Except for her, I figured those three can probably handle anything thrown at them, especially if they're already in the 50s. So I just went ahead and did the grind and went to the moon. And seeing Water Hag, by the way, with an extra 200,000 XP.
Delightful. Absolutely delightful. I also wanted to take a moment and commend you on your decision to take a few grind fights on Mount Ordeals. That was definitely a interesting play, and it ended up saving you a bunch of time. Particularly on the Valvalus fight.
Oh yeah, because Yang could actually do damage, and I didn't have to be like, why can't I cast magic with Palom, so that did help.
Totally makes sense. So when you eventually hit the lunar subterrane, you went right for the D-lunar spot. Tell me a little bit about your routing in the lunar subterrane itself.
Gotcha. Well, on K3 or K4, I like to go to Wyvern first, so I can have kind of a good start point to work my way through the entire thing. But on K2, I like that spot best, even though it's kind of a more difficult spot to deal with at earlier levels. You do get 2 chests there instead of just 1, both of which can be key items. So that's usually why I target it. And if you are lagging behind in levels, which I wasn't at this point, 100,000 or 200,000 goes a long way towards catching up.
Absolutely. And you also didn't seem to mind what agility your Tella was at. You basically went right for it. You didn't do any sort of reconfiguration of anything. Tell me a little bit about preparing for the Zeromus fight and what you had going through your head as you were using the crystal.
I mean, the main thing was, please don't let anyone snipe me. Please don't let anyone snipe me. That was the main thought. But I figured Tella's gonna be slow enough, and as long as, like, I figured he was in the right range. I may go back and look at my save file afterwards to check, but I figured it would be okay. And honestly, like I said, originally I figured no matter who I get, as long as Rosa and Yang stay alive, I'll be fine. And Rosa and Yang could have eaten full powered big bangs left and right, and it wouldn't have been an issue.
Absolutely. In fact, at one point they did.
Yeah, ate that one, and then the next one was nerfed. Rosa took under 200 damage, and I'm like, that's my bae.
Nice.
That's right.
Nice, absolutely very nice. I hate to interrupt this this very untechnical discussion to bring in some dry technical questions. Venerable, what flavor of Bursk were your characters drinking tonight out there?
Oh, cherry vanilla all the way.
Oh yes, cherry vanilla, one of the classic flavors introduced in the first launch, along with original, double plain, and of course, cherry vanilla is a fan favorite. Just one of the flavors that people really like. I'm a double plain kind of gal myself. I have to admit. When I crack open Burst, that's pretty much all I'm drinking, unless I'm drinking the all-new, refreshing taste of Moon Powder Burst. Ride the Lunar Whale.
Oh. All right, corporate underhanded payouts aside, Alexa, how do you really feel?
I'm delighted. This was a very interesting run to watch. In Venerable, you played beautifully. Really textbook Zervis fight. I really liked your routing decisions, and they also like the rando was kind to you, and like some of your choices ended up paying off. Like if you had decided to go through with Baron after getting Tella, like you had gotten the Baron key and you hadn't done Baron in yet, so like that would have worked out really well for you. It just like seemed like a very kind seed to you.
Yeah.
Also want to point out.
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Go on.
I was gonna say, if it had been anyone other than Tella, I would have done the castle next. But because he comes with the warp spell, I'm like, okay, let's go do our other glitch for the showcase. You know.
that was amazing. It was really lovely to watch. And we're seeing Penguinator finishing up his grind, heading into the Z fight with Neon Gray not too far behind, and we are seeing a second place finisher. Big Dunka has finished in second place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 10 seconds. GG to you, Big Dunka.
So, Invenerable, do you have any final words about this seed? Anything you want to tack on at the end?
Did anyone go to Dark Elf? If so, what song did I miss?
You missed Aerith's song from FF7.
Oh, that's a good one. Shame, but I'll take it.
Yeah,
Thank you all
take
so
the
much.
win.
Yeah, I'll take the
All
win.
right.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Venerable. You are a treasure to watch and a delight to interact with. Have a lovely night.
Y'all too. Thank you.
Gosh, I thought he'd never leave. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I like him a lot.
All right, we've got Penguinator going in for the fight. Apparently using Yang as the anchor here, which is probably going to make Zeromus a little bit faster. Going immediately with wall strats.
Oh, interesting. Now, wall strats are very interesting because reflected spells do not trigger counters. As you're seeing, those nukes that are getting reflected off of Yang are not being countered by Zeromus's own nukes. It's really quite delightful. And we're seeing Nightdew and Neon Gray both opted to have Kane in their party.
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like they decided to take Kane when they saw him at the lunar subterrane and just use the experience gathered to grind on bosses. Because with the X2 flag, you actually have triple experience for anyone who's severely under.
That's right. Absolutely. And we're seeing Nightdew heading straight for that pale dim spot. Gonna be rewarded with that crystal. Amazing. Ugh.
And we've got Neon Gray in the final fight as coming up, and what will eventually be the crystal right here. So this stream is going to be an awful short one coming up here.
Not entirely the worst thing in the world.
Yeah,
When
very
you've
good
got
runner.
such lovely runners, skillfully executing their plays. Penguinator and Neon Gray both in the thick of the Z fight. Oh, those sweet reflect strats. Those reflected whites. Oh man, we're seeing synced up white spells being attacked, being thrown on the top half of the screen. That was really cool to see. Nightdew finishing off the elements, making short work of them, getting rewarded with that crystal. Nightdew is in go mode.
So we've got go mode, we've got go time, and we've got almost Meteo phase. Looking at Penguinator takes a full-powered Big Bang. It takes Rydia down, but it looks like Penguinator's going to be okay on this one. Still got the healer up and working.
But the most important characters on the ground.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Oh, okay. So this is a mistake that a lot of people end up making. Accidentally casting white on Yang just as Black Hole goes off. Let's hope Penguinator is close to done. Oh,
and that is the clutchest, most amazingest GG that I have ever seen today. With the mistaken white about to take down Yang, Palam's nuke just destroying Zeramis, getting that GG in. Penguinator finishing in third with the official SRL time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 56 seconds. We're going to see if we can get him in for an interview.
GG's to Penguinator on that one. That's a pretty good fight there.
Yeah, definitely. That was well executed. That black hole, of course, being very unlucky.
Yeah, that's right.
Much
Neon Gray is not too.
That.
They're cranking out the damage right there.
Absolutely, definitely seeing a lot of damage over there on side, and Nightdew not far behind, jumping into that Z fight. Oh,
Let's see if
so lucky.
Penguinator can come on in.
Penguins can talk.
I
thought
mean-
they just went newt. Hello, Penguinator. GG to
Hello.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Well,
Tell us a little bit about your fight.
Well, it's a pretty standard mage fight. Once I get 3 mages, I typically ignore my fighters. With these flags, they're similar to the round of 32 flags, and I've been doing that most of the time, just because mages do it much faster. Because you can skip the refill by bouncing spells off the wall, so it's half the health you have to work through.
Totally.
absolutely.
Tell us a little bit more about your run. I loved your decision to fight Azura. That was not an easy fight, and you prevailed over her.
Yeah, the mute dagger really came in handy there. I think it probably wasn't the best idea given how long that fight ended up taking anyway. But yeah, the mute dagger and the quake were enough damage to keep up. I think I had 1 star build, so I couldn't do full wall straps, and I didn't have wall yet on Rosa.
So
Understood.
when you're trying to route out what you're doing mid game, the crystal, there are a couple of interesting divergences that can be made in your routes. Tell me a little bit about how you try to set yourself apart from the rest of the field and do a couple of unexpected things, if you do that at all.
I wouldn't say I went for anything intentionally unexpected. I think I might have made some questionable choices.
Not questionable, just a little bit divergent. Going after Odin, for example.
Yeah, that one was the one I would call questionable, because I think we had just seen Darkness Crystal before that, so... I guess if it was a quick check, it would have been nice, but ended up being a pretty tough fight, so it probably wasn't the best idea. So I maybe should have reset after seeing that. But I think since you're already there, it's a pretty quick check just to run in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you're gearing up for the final fight, when you see that crystal and you're in go mode, tell me a little bit about how you prepare for Zeromus with the party that you've got, specifically the 3 mage party. What are you thinking about?
Well, for a while I'd been kind of thinking about I can probably do the mage fight, and then when I saw Rydia, I was like, I'll definitely do the mage fight because that was my third one. And actually, the other thing with the Odin was I just got Rydia, so I thought I would get some experience for her before going to the moon. So that was part of it. And yeah, just making sure they have some equipment so they can survive the big bangs most of the time. That's about it. I like to put the spells up towards the top just to make it a little bit quicker, and I just grind until I get nuke weight on everyone.
Just wanted to cut in here. Neon Gray has finished in 5th place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 58 seconds. GGDU. And just before that, Dragus has finished in 4th place with a SRL time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 24 seconds. GG to all of you. We'll see about getting Neon Gray in here in just a few minutes. Penguinator, any final thoughts before heading out?
Thanks to you fine folks for restreaming, commentating, and doing the tracking.
And heartfelt thanks to you both for your magnificent run and also for using Rydia.
You're welcome.
Gotta love them Rydia reflex strats.
All right, thank you.
All right, and we're seeing Nightdew in the throes of the Z fight as well, also toting a Rydia. Those fantastic 3 mage strats.
All right. Looks like we got Neon Gray in the bullpen.
Do. Hello, Neon Gray. GG to you.
Hey, thank you.
Outstanding run there, Neon. Outstanding run. That Zeromus fight was kind of wacky, huh?
Oh, that was pretty normal, honestly. It went about how I expected. Kane obviously took that first nuke counter on the chin, but he had his completely default armor, but...
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of iron is gonna help you against that.
But a defense sword, that zorks up real nice, so...
Yeah, I really appreciated you using the defense sword on Kane. It was a nice find in that rat tail chest. Tell us a little bit about your run. Tell us what was going through your head when you decided to run to the moon.
Honestly, it kind of fell into place pretty neatly for me. As soon as I saw Tella in the Baron Inn, and not many other options opening up, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna get Tella, I'm not picking him up before Ordeals. I don't need him then. So I went to Ordeals, and got the Magma Key, and I was like, well, you know what? I've got Yang, I've got Rosa, I've got Palab. I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure my party never goes over 3 people. Because, frankly, I could have beat the game with the 3 of them. That's something that, I've done before. I know what I'm doing with that. Not on stream, so, but, it's not something I was worried about. But, then I got Edge and Baron. I had sort of been, keeping gear aside for characters I'd like to see. So I had a lot of what I needed for Edge, and then when I got that pink tail, I was like, well, this isn't going to be hard. And then when I did get the Darkness Crystal, I looked at my options on the planet. I was like, you know what? It's probably not here unless it's on a single dip tower. Right. Which it wasn't, so I was like, let's go to the moon. There it was.
Sound logic there.
Yeah, and honestly, even getting that spoon from the rat tail swap, that paid off in spades, because Elements is scary on Pilden.
Absolutely. Oh gosh. Well, thank you so much for the wonderful run. It was really a pleasure watching you play. It really always is.
Thank you.
And any final thoughts?
Not really. Like, I'm really happy how that all came together. I got distracted right at the start of the race, and so I didn't get going quite as quickly as I would have liked, but I'm really happy with how that all came together. I'm honestly surprised at how well I did, because, I usually come, middle of the pack, bottom third, that kind of thing. I'm not a great racer, but, I know what I'm doing. I just don't do it well, but I did it well today.
Did it pretty darn well from where I'm sitting.
Pretty darn well, Neon. Yeah, you are good at this game, and I think you sell yourself a tiny bit short. And you've definitely proven to all of us that you can make the right decisions.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on and talking to us, and have a lovely night. GG again.
Yes, you too.
And while we were doing that lovely interview, we saw a 6th place finisher in Mecha Link finishing with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 56 seconds, and our 4th restreamer, Night Dew, finishing in 7th place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 14 seconds. Or excuse me, I misread that. 34 minutes and 1 second.
Well, good game to everybody, and unfortunately, Night Dew can't join us in voice chat for this one, as they have company, but
GG all the same.
GG all the same, absolutely.
We also see
4 really good runs, really tight race between these 4, actually.
Absolutely. You can tell that all 4 of these runners have really been practicing the round of 32 flags. I believe all 4 of them are in the lead.
Yes,
if I am not mistaken.
Yes,
and all that practice is definitely showing. And you can see how just like a minor divergence in decision can really affect your entire run.
And just how major a few minutes actually become. So if you think you're a few minutes behind, you can make up that time with one decision, and it'll catapult you right ahead.
Right, like in Venerable's decision to grind on Mount Ordeals. It was a 5-minute investment that netted him much more than that. I can't really quantify it. That said, Muppets and I's time with you is coming to a close. I just want to really quick shout out our restreamer and our tracker, Cassidy, and our restream team. I'm not gonna try to pronounce this. Oh gosh, I'm gonna mess this up.
Data Die Guy?
Nice, thank you. And Melee Wizard. All of y'all, thank you so much for helping us put this on. I want to thank our restreamed runners, Night Dew, Penguinator, and Venerable and Neon Gray. If you have not followed them already, please give them a follow. They are all amazing runners of Free Enterprise, and they do some other stuff too. Muppets, I want to thank you. This is literally #the dream. I love commentating with you. I knew that I would, which is why I was pushing for so long. Thank you so much. And
I had a romping good time, Alexa, and gotta say I'm lit on Bursk now.
Oh, lit AF, fam. Bursk is definitely the flavor of the month, with lunar whale flavor. Drink whales. Oh gosh. Oh my. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for having us. And this has been the Monday night Free Enterprise Weekly Race. Again, you can join the Free Enterprise Discord. Please join us. We do a race on Monday nights. We do a race on Friday nights at 9:30 and 7 Eastern Time, respectively. We would love to see you as a part of our community.
Also, if you haven't done it yet, follow the runners. Night Dew 14, Penguin 8, Invenerable, and Villain Fetishist. All these runners know what they're doing. They're very good to watch, very entertaining to watch.
Oh, couldn't have said it better myself. Have a lovely night, everyone.
Thank you very much. You have a lovely night too, Alexa.
Aw, Muppets, you have a night too. Oh my gosh, you have a lovely night? You have a lovely night. Oh man, oh man, oh man.